Curiosity, where does it take you? How does it inform your experience of the world? Do you reach out? Do you shy away? Something we can use as a grounding moment for our meditation is to inhabit the space of these words that represent a concept, something such as curiosity, a little bit different for each of us, but kind of a shared notion. So today, in our practice, we will let that word be our guide and see how it may influence our experience of drawing, what notions or images it may bring to our mind, examining what values or preconceptions we may attach to the word as we inhabit it for a few minutes together, and hopefully from our curiosity reach inside and find some new journeying from our imagination. Welcome to Mindful Drawing. I'm Rooks Fun, and I'll be your host or your guide as we enter into the medium of drawing as a way to meditate with our creativity, and through this episode, explore the fringes of our curiosity and what that may mean to us in our own creative practices or just mindful engagements with the world. Get a sketchbook or a pad of paper, grab a pen or pencil, something you feel comfortable and interested in drawing with, and let's draw together. A couple of years back, maybe 2 or 3 now, at Pratt, I was part of this Flourishing Studios and Mindful Practices in Teaching project called Compose. And we did these interesting exercises looking at strengths, like character strengths, and these things like curiosity, creativity, love of learning, leadership, and trying to use those different ways to tease out what they mean to us. And journaling the other day, I was thinking, for some reason it came up to this idea of curiosity, and how do we let that guide us in some kind of drawing, and what does that mean for us? So I thought for the warm-up, we'll take a couple of minutes just to kind of close the eyes with or without the pen and start to let some images trickle in there behind the eyes, and thinking about that word curiosity and what it might bring forward in your attention, what directions your mind might go, and it might be many things, a flood of images or influences. Perhaps it's stuff you've seen that you recognize as the outcome or influence of curiosity, or for yourself, where you begin to be curious, where questions come into play, or just activities or things that you find to represent that idea of curiosity. And as something may coalesce, whether that's an idea or an image, just letting the pen find something on that warm-up page as a place to start, and then begin to try to trace from that idea or that image, not necessarily have anything to do with what might come from whatever's coming through on my screen, but instead letting the internal picture of that concept, curiosity, guide where your hand moves or the pen marks on the page. And just to see what starts to come from that for a moment. And as we begin moving that hand around, letting something from inside our imagination's vision guide the pen for a bit, we can just give it a few short breaths to ease into the feeling of drawing and being in our place, guided by this curiosity. Taking a breath in and letting it out slowly. Having a pause and repeating that breath in and the slow release of the air. This may or may not connect to your actions of drawing, and right now just letting the two moments exist side by side. Breathing in and breathing out, while also letting that pen or pencil track with your curiosity. And just a few more deep breaths to activate all of the oxygen flow from the lungs to the brain, to activate the posture and the rhythm of this time of mindfulness and relaxation. We can transition from a warm-up page, maybe looking at whatever you began to create, seeing if that can keep going into the next phase. For me, it seems a series of waypoints, perhaps an exploring or traveling, deepening that vision in the mind and continuing with your eyes closed or open, whatever you're comfortable with to start. I think I'll begin closed, just to begin to fill out some of that space on the page and use the initial marks as an opportunity to synchronize more with that breathing. But this may be unique to how you're moving the pen or pencil, what image you see. So finding a way that the breath in can work with a pause or a positioning, and the breath out can work with a moving, a drawing. Or if the rhythm suits, you can bring your motion and action on both the in-breath and the out-breath, just bringing that attention to their influence and connection between making the mark and adjusting the full form of our core and rib cage to that breathing rhythm. And as the connection there, the synchronization begins to drift from the forefront of the mind to a steady rhythm of breathing in and out, of moving with your curiosity, of starting to inhabit this space on the page and find your technique within the territory. We can let the conscious effort of the breathing fall back away into just a normal rhythm of breath, one that brings oxygen into the body, refreshing the blood flow and supporting the functions internally, one that lets out the carbon dioxide and other buildup of prominent gases that become toxic to our cells functioning. We just cycle them through. And with each cycle refreshed with opportunity and possibility, refreshed with the energy we need to bring our attention to this mindful action and practice. Refreshed with this thing that happens often without our guidance or attention, in response to our environment, to our activity, to our stress, enjoyment, using a little bit of curiosity, questioning to witness what our breathing might do as we work with it. And if you're feeling steadied into a rhythm of the drawing and moving, might open your eyes and observe what has taken place. For me, these constellations, movement, and points of rest or repose, traveling, expanding through some unknown, that empty space of the page, and then looking at what we might find within that as just a place to explore, to reach into that curiosity, to think what these questions of movement might have inspired, or just use that pen to further investigate what may have come from the time of allowing the body and mind to reach into the page. For me, that's emerging as a re-wandering, a tracking along and around some reflection, the rhythm of line, point, or moment, giving some shape, finding some shape to whatever came from the listening, asking what it can be, and observing where we kind of journey through a technique of drawing. And this internal image or representation of a concept from a word such as curiosity will likely be quite different, quite unique to each person's own experience and practice with those concepts. And perhaps if you have an artistic or design practice, curiosity holds more intentional inhabitation of a problem or an idea. If that's not your everyday kind of practice and working, then perhaps it's more aligned with tackling new challenges, visiting new places, meeting new people, whatever starts to form that concept that we can leverage as a character strength to bring critical view and openness to new situations as we ask questions of what is happening here, what are my interests here, what could this be, am I seeing everything I think I'm seeing? Ways that curiosity influences your life each day. The way it may quickly jump out from the current moment with wild questions, or gradually reach out into new places, taking the steps to understand what the traveling, the exploring reveal. Curiosity providing a mechanism for mapping our experience, for charting what we know and perceive about the world. And as the drawing may begin to take some influence, to absorb us in, to become some expression of a mix of that curiosity and creativity, we can from time to time return to our breath in the place of beginning with it, to refresh with that breathing the image or initial images or concepts and representations that come to mind. Begin to meditate on the word. That may continue with the movement of the pen or pencil, or take a few moments to let the eyes close and a couple of deep breaths to re-establish that image of curiosity for yourself, to bring that back to what is forming on the page and find some space to explore in between. Just a full breath in to reset the lungs and the spine and the rib cage, and a release of the shoulders to reposition the arms and hands and bring that awareness back to how we're holding our body relative to engaging with this drawing action. Making sure we're aware of if we are being pulled in too tightly, absorbed too deeply, and forgetting our tempo and rhythm of breathing. Keeping that awareness and mindfulness to the practice, even while letting it take us somewhere with our curiosity. Do things begin to change when that visual comes back into your mind's focus? Or does it go deeper into where you began? The space of curiosity, perhaps lacking outcome, since it is engaging with the unknown. Sometimes the uncertain or the uncomfortable, sometimes just the experience of the new. Maybe everyone just has drawings of cats, or symbol of the curious. There's that density of mark, line, curve, point, or any other technique producing visual content outward through these mediums of drawing builds to some complexity on the page. Perhaps you begin to see in that curiosity of exploring spaces of opportunity, spaces of unknown imagination or unexpected emergence that spark deeper curiosity to wonder and explore through the drawing of where that might go, what that might be. And lean into that, go deeper into those spaces that influence the feeling that we can share through the concept of the word curiosity. Found in different practices like this for grounding, for checking in with our internal state, whether that's in the reviewing of what we create and find, or just a moment to be in a space with ourselves, here in the act of drawing, or in journaling, or meditation, in other forms, in its many forms. The more we can develop a consistency to that brief moment of reflection, looking in, of both practicing and experiencing a bit of our internal awareness. Hopefully, the more we can let it take over and absorb for a while, to let it bring out from within some of our rhythms, some of our seeing of the world, experiencing from within and through something like journaling or drawing. Reflect that outward for a few moments to see it manifest and to question where it guides us, where it may. Bring our space in the world. And there may be many of lines filling out large areas of the page, or perhaps just sitting and breathing in a single mark floating out there in the paper. And whatever the condition, we can take a few minutes in silence for that internal observance or exploration or inhabitation of that condition, and see where it takes you as you breathe at a normal cadence and continue to explore your curiosity here in the space of the page. Question that keeps creeping through my mind in that time of stillness, but not quiet. There's always something around us. The honking of horns, the passage of cars, birds, creaks in the materials, the wind blowing, the refrigerator humming, whatever those sounds are in that time of stillness, just occupying their space around us, in the world and having some moments there where they can be the background and perhaps a little curiosity, internal or externally, of what might be going on, what am I hearing, what events are taking place around those sounds, and bringing our close for the next minute to some attention back in our space. That can be through the sounds around us that you pick up, or by scanning your eyes around the space, beginning to go through that challenging transition of disengaging perhaps from the time of drawing, of letting go of the endless need of finishing, as it may be something with no end. Just having a little break that we can come back into ourselves and our space and awareness before we're lucky enough diving back in, perhaps exploring it a bit further. Thank you again for joining along in this journey to explore this concept we all may share, but give different value and credit to, and how it informs us, what position we take around it in our lives, and what it can influence as we use it as a driver for our own creative practices. Curiosity underlies everything we are as humans. It's our reaching out, our exploring of the unknown, our discovery of new tools and concepts through design and art. It is our scientific endeavor, as well as our drive for introspection and understanding our place near and far. This practice was inspired by things I've learned from the Via Character Institute and looking at these character strengths that we may have current alignments with, or may guide us in how we approach daily problems, daily engagements, and our daily practices and tasks. If you're curious to know more about it, you can go to the VIA Character Institute and explore some of their free material that describes what these traits are and how to discover which ones are most influential in your life, and use those to develop them as guiding practices that you both have agency and awareness with, and can contribute to how you work every day. Some practices you can do with these words, things like leadership, spirituality, curiosity, creativity, are to reflect on them, to take moments like this with drawing or with writing, to develop a journal and an attitude, to kind of see where you stand and how they might be present in the way you engage with the world. So I encourage you to check it out. Or if you just like to draw, stick around for weekly episodes that come out usually around Wednesday. And if you ever want to catch us live, you can tune in via the Mindful Pratt website in our Mindful Drop-ins, or you can find me on Twitch at Rooks is Fun, where I'll stream it Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern every week. Whatever you find yourself doing today, I hope that it goes wonderfully, and as always, draw well. Thank you.